I woke up to the news report and heard about what many consider to be a dictator. Maduro and his wife had been captured and was in the process of being brought back to the United States to await trial for drug trafficking and other crimes. Then I left a comment in the family group text asking their opinion. These are some things that I tend to agree on or not agree on. I believe we are in a world of good and evil. I don't believe any one race is good or bad. We have good people from every race, and there are bad people from every race. I don't believe everything that the United States has done for the world is good, but I don't think everything the United States has done is bad. We all fall short whenever man tends to take to the forefront without waiting for Elohim. I heard one comment on the text, we need to fix the problems here in our own country before trying to solve problems elsewhere. I learned that we have news media and entertainments that have a particular narrative, a worldview in politics. These news medias are like puppet masters that can twist our minds to think a certain way towards their agenda. When we look across the globe to all the countries, which one can we say is a role model for all other countries to follow? I believe under leadership there are principalities that stand beside them. One of the comments stated in the text, it's all about the oil, and we know that to be a true statement. What country, mainly superpower countries like Russia, China, are not trying to control the oil market and infrastructures? There's a lot going on behind the scenes that we don't have an understanding about. We must find ways to educate one another. We have some that believe that we don't have proof that Maduro and his wife were trafficking drugs. A lot of people don't realize that Maduro had a reward for his capture dating back 4 different presidents. We have agencies, CIA, DEA, FBI, and many others that knew where the drugs came from and who were controlling and bringing the drugs into the country. You also have Maduro aligning with terrorist countries like Iran that wants nothing more than to blow up America. Why do we have politicians that understand the risk but still allow for illegal immigrants to enter into the country? I used to think the same way. Why are we getting involved in other country business? A lot of these countries in some way, form, or fashion wants to bring harm to America. America is not perfect, but neither are a lot of other countries out there. We have scams going on all over America. I saw one video where we have a race of people which had one man with the quote taunting, telling a certain group of people saying, "Get out there and work, slave, so I can get my free money from the system." He was directing his quote towards a certain group of people, but that group doesn't represent all of America. The United States is made up of many races and groups of people, so you can't steal from one without stealing from the others. You can't single out a group of people and call them your slaves because of their race or history. We can't keep allowing people to come into our country illegally and steal American resources and call us their slaves. When we say it's all about the oil, we must understand that the oil is an important part of the world economy. Not just the United States, but all countries rely on oil to run their economy. Without the oil, it will take us back into the time of the horse and buggy, and most of us can't live without iPhones, computers, and cars. One way to protect this country is to find a way to protect other countries. I only learned a couple of years ago that there's a time when the winter solstice reaches peak time of the longest hours of night during the year. This gives us a peek of more evidence of Yahuah's creation by which the world was made. I remember as a kid growing up, Christmas Eve was the longest hours of the night. I remember thinking that it was because Santa Claus needed more time to deliver all his Christmas presents. But that's how a lot of 6- and 7-year-old kids thought. Now I realize the night was long because the nights were actually long. I've learned that through some studies that dating back many thousands of years, there were other deities celebrating December 25th as their birthday. This is why you have a lot of pagan deities' birthdays, origins on December 25th. It was easy to incorporate Jesus' birthday on December 25th because that day was already used to serve other deities. The Roman culture believed in polytheism, which means that they believe in serving more than one deity. So when Yahushua became more popular to the Romans It was a lot easier for the citizens to accept that same day as they accepted other deities. If you've been lied to for centuries, then you come into the knowledge of the truth. You must decide which is more important, accepting the truth or continue believing the lies. Like the quote that we all have heard, the truth will set you free. I'm in a region of the world that the sun travels closely over my head during certain seasons of the year. Scripture says Yahuah created the sun to govern the day, and he created the moon to govern the night. He created the stars as well as the seasons in the year. He created the 4 seasons, the spring equinox, summer solstice, fall equinox, and the winter solstice. Yahushua said in Scripture to pray that his return is not in the winter, nor on the Sabbath day. And here we affiliate his birthday during the winter months and change the Sabbath day to Sunday. Could Yahuah be giving us warnings not to affiliate him with either one of those times? Yahuah said, observe the Sabbath and keep it Kaddish. Colossians 2:20-23. If then you died with Mashiach from the elementary things of the world, why, as though you're living in the world, do you subject yourself to regulations? Do not touch, do not taste, do not handle, which are all to perish with us according to the commands and teaching of men. These indeed have appearance of wisdom and self-imposed worship, humiliation and harsh treatment of the body, of no value at all, only for satisfaction of the flesh. Paul is making it clear to me that man-made austerities, deprivation, flagellations of any man teachings only appear to be worship. Yahuah only asks for our obedience to his Torah. 2 Malachi 11. And Athaliah was the mother of Achaziah, and when she saw that her son was dead, she arose and destroyed all the offsprings of the reign. But Yahushua, the daughter of King Toram, sister of Achaziah, took Uriah, son of Achaziah, and stole him away from among the sons of the kings who were put to death. Uriah is a variant spelling of Yahuah, so they hid him and his nurse in the bedroom from Athaliah, and he was not put to death. And he remained with her, hiding in the house of Yahuah for 6 years, while Athaliah was reigning in the land. And in the 7th year of Yahuah sent and brought the commanders of hundreds with the Karites and the runners, and brought them into the house of Yahuah to him. And he made a covenant with them, and took an oath from them in the house of Yahuah, and showed them the son of the king. And he commanded them, saying, this is what you are to do. 1/3 of you who come into the Shabbat to be on guard in the king's house, and 1/3 at the gates of Shur, and 1/3 at the gates behind the runners, and you shall be on guard in the house, lest it be broken down. And the 2 detachments of you who are going out of the Shabbat shall be on guard in the house of Yahuah for the king. And you shall surround the king on every side, every man with his weapons in his hand, and whoever comes within the ranks, let him be put to death, and be with the king as he goes out, and as he comes in. So the commanders of the hundreds did according to all that Yahuah the priest commanded, and each of them took his men who were going into the Shabbat with those who were going out of the Shabbat, and came to Yahuah the priest. And the priest gave the commanders of hundreds the spear and the shields which belonged to King David, that were in the house of Yahuah. And the runners stood, every man with his weapon in his hand, all around the king, from the right side of the house to the left side of the house, by the altar and the house. And he brought out the son of the king, and put him in diadem and the witness. And they set him up to reign, and anointed him. And they clapped their hands, and said, let the king live. And Athaliah heard the noise of the runners and the people, and she came to the people into the house of Yahuah, and looked and saw the king standing by a column according to the rulings, and the chiefs and the trumpeters were beside the king, and all the people of the land rejoicing and blowing trumpets. And Athaliah tore her garment and cried out, treason, treason. And Yahuah the priest commanded the commanders of the hundreds, the officers of the army, and said to them, take her outside the ranks and slay her with the sword, whoever follows her. For the priests have said, do not let her be killed in the house of Yahuah. So they took hold of her, and she went out by the way of the horses, entries of the king's house, and was put to death there. And Yahuah made a covenant between Yahuah and the king of the people, to be the people of Yahuah, also between the king and the people. And all the people of the land went to the house of Baal and broke it down. They completely broke up his altars and images, and slew Mattan the priest of Baal before the altars. And the priests appointed inspectors over the house of Yahuah, and took the commanders of hundreds and the Karites and the runners and all the people of the land. And they brought the king down from the house of Yahuah, and went by a way to the gates of the runners to the king's house. And he sat on the throne of the kings. And all the people of the land rejoiced, and the city had rest, for they had slain after Yahuah with the sword in the king's house. Yahuah was 7 years old when he began to reign. From Cyrus to Augustus. The latest narrative books of the Hebrew Scriptures deal with the period when Yahudah, with the rest of Western Asia, formed part of Persian Empire. The last monarch whom they mention by name of Darius the Persian, Nehemiah 12:22, either Darius II, 423 to 405 BC, or more probably Darius III, 336 to 331 BC, the last king of Persia. When we open the New Testament, we find another world power dominating the Near East and indeed the whole Mediterranean area. The New Testament writings from first to last are set in context of the Roman Empire. The stories which they tell from the closing years of the pre-Christian era to the end of the 1st century AD presupposes throughout the dominating presence of Roman power. The third evangelist connects the birth of Yahushua with the decree issued by the first Roman Emperor Augustus, that all the world should be enrolled, Luke 2:1. Yahushua grew to manhood in a land where the properties of paying to Rome the tribute which it imposed was a live and political and theological issue. It was a Roman magistrate who sentenced him to death, and it was a Roman form of execution that the sentence was carried out. The most prominent character in New Testament history after Yahushua himself is Paul, a Roman citizen by birth, who carried the Christian message from the Palestinian homeland through the eastern province of the Roman Empire until he reached Rome itself. Our last certain view of Paul sees him living there in house arrest for 2 years, at liberty to urge Christian ways of salvation on all who came to visit him. Nor does New Testament stop there. It carries the story forward to the following decades in which Roman law set its face against Christianity, so that man was liable to suffer as a child of Elohim, without it being necessary to produce evidence of positive criminal actions on his part. The Roman Empire is presented in the powerful imaginary of John's Apocalypse as a seven-headed monster, waging war against the people of Elohim and all who refuse to pay divine honor, but doomed to go down in defeat before patience and faith of the saints they win through the final victory of the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony. Revelations 13:10 and 12:11. How do we define democracy in today's world? Some may see two aspects of democracy. One where we have the power of the people casting their votes on how they choose to live, or a selective democracy which has a selected group of representatives decide what is good for the people. They mainly come in the form of governors, senators, Congress representatives, right down to district leaders, church pastors, and more. Democracy has a voice such as First and Second Amendment. You can't call someone a dictator just because you don't agree with their policies. You have people coming over from other countries legally and illegally, but once they're here, they begin trashing how bad it is over here. You get the impression that they want a self-free country, that all is for the taking. Anything you can take and get away with is fair game. They don't want law and order because violating them leads to consequences. And a lot of those people that take on leadership roles were cast out from where they came from and now trying to pollute their ideals elsewhere. But most of the motivation comes from greed. Romans 13:1 says, "Let every being be in subjection to governing authority, for there is no authority except from Yahuah, and the authority that exists are appointed by Yahuah." Titus 3:1, "Remind them to be subject to rulers and authority, to obey, to be ready for every good work." The only thing that's worse than being a slave is being a slave and not knowing it. Yahushua gave a parable about a man who gave talents to his servants. Yahuah 25:14-30 says, "For it is like a man going out from home, who called his servants and delivered his possession to them. And to one he gave 5 talents, and to another 2, and to another 1, to each according to his own ability, and went from home. And he who received the 5 talents went and worked with them, and made another 5 talents. In the same way he with the 2 also he gained 2 more. But he who received the 1 went away and dug in the ground, and hid the silver of his Adonai. And after a long time Adonai of those servants came and set a lookout with them. And he who received 5 talents came and brought 5 other talents, saying, Adonai, you delivered to me 5 talents. See, I have gained 5 more talents besides them. And his Adonai said to him, Well done, good and trustworthy servant. You were trustworthy over a little. I shall set you over much. Enter into the joy of your Adonai. Then he who received 2 talents came and said, Adonai, you delivered to me 2 talents. See, I have gained 2 more talents besides them. His Adonai said to him, Well done, good and trustworthy servant. You were trustworthy over a little. I shall set you over much. Enter into the joy of your Adonai. And the one who received 1 talent also came and said, Adonai, I knew you were a hard man, weeping where you have not sown, and gathering where you have not scattered seed. And being afraid, I went and hid your talent in the ground. See, you have what is yours. And his Adonai answering said to him, You wicked and lazy servant, you knew that I weep where I have not sown, and gather where I have not scattered seed. Then you should have put my silver with the bankers, and at my coming I would have received back my own with interest. Therefore take away the talent from him, and give to him who possesses 10 talents. For to everyone who possesses, more shall be given, and he shall have overflowingly. But from him who does not possess, even what he possesses shall be taken away. And throw the worthless servant into outer darkness. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. So I received this parable, which has earthly sayings with heavenly meanings, as Yahuah's word, telling his children who has received his workings, to go out and share it with others. Sharing what you receive as truth doesn't mean exploring something or someone. It would be selfish not to share what you find as truth. Sometimes people go through a hard life in order to be made strong. So when you're faced with adversity, you're being equipped to endure. Elohim allows you to go through things in life in order to be made strong. Thanks for watching, and thanks for sharing. If Yahuah is willing, I'll see you on the next video. So until then, stay blessed and be blessed, and continue to be blessed. Hallelujah. Praise Yahuah.